Okay, welcome everybody. We had a little bit of a glitch with the technology. I noticed there's a few of you that have jumped in. So glad to have you on the live stream this evening. And let me mute my YouTube because that's going to come out. Okay, there we go. Cool, cool. Hi, Lola. I saw that you jumped into the live stream and you're here. I'm so glad to see you. Let me pull up where I can see the comments. As you have comments or questions through the live stream, please join. If you have joined my live stream before, you know it's pretty laid back, kind of open house. Pop in, pop out when you would like. See what we're doing here. I am going to put my little shirt protector on, but glad to have you as you come into the room. I'm excited this evening because I'm going to try something totally new, and that is that I have a friend joining me. So let me go ahead and switch over. This is my friend Jerron, and there we go. And we are going to work on the same painting. Jerron, are you using acrylic tonight?
I am.
Okay, great. We're both going to be with acrylics, and we are going to be painting the. Actually, let me switch my camera view. Oh, my. Shoot, that's not going to work. I wonder if I can change. Okay, guys, sorry about this. Let me try my video inputs are messing around with me. Let's see here. All right. I always tell my students the first time you do something is the worst time. So I had us. Now you're just seeing me. Let me. Nope. Don't want to do picture in picture. Okay. Let's do June and then Steve. Okay. Here we go. I think we are set now. Perfect. Okay, now we're set. So you on your screen should be able to see Jerron, you should be able to see me, and you should be able to see the reference photo as the overlay there in the center of the screen, the bottom of the screen. Um, as I said, feel free to drop your comments, questions in the comments wherever you're watching. If you're on Facebook, if you are on YouTube, say hello. I would love to say hello. I always love um, having you all join the conversation as I go through this. Before I get started, I want to show all of y'all, those of you who had not joined the last live stream, I started this painting that we did last weekend. It was a picture I took in Colorado on a trip. Whoops, let me slide over. There we go. In Colorado of a lake, and it was my first attempt at water. So we worked on that also during the week. I do live streaming on Instagram Live. So whenever I have time in the evenings, if you aren't following there, you can follow there. Also, you'll see the lower third under Jerron is his Instagram, so you can follow him as well and see all the beautiful art he creates. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. I am going to let Jerron, you can just go ahead and jump in and start. I'm going to start here. I usually kind of narrate what I'm doing for my audience. You can feel free to talk as little or as much as you would like. And I will pass any questions along to you. One of them actually comes in from my friend Lola. is wondering where you are from. So, where are you dialing in from?
Pasadena, California.
Excellent. Pasadena. And you are still in art school, correct?
Well, not this semester.
Okay.
Uh, I'm taking some time off from school to re-strategize, I guess.
Ah,
Also, I mean, I have been accepted to Art Center, but I deferred my start term.
okay.
So just kind of figuring out where things are going to be with COVID because Art Center is really expensive and it's all online now, which is kind of weird. So, um, not quite what I was looking for in an art education.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. We'll see how things shake out in the next year. But
That makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people, myself included, are recalibrating. I know teaching in the classroom is totally different this year with COVID, especially this increased outbreak. So, yeah, yeah. All right. Hey there, Chase. Good to have you. Thanks for joining. I always appreciate you jumping in. Would love to hear from the rest of y'all. I can see there's several more people in the room. So feel free to say hello. Let us get started. Okay, I'm going to start here. You all know, if you've been on my live stream before, I usually like to start furthest from the viewer, observer, and move my way forward. So that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to put in the sky a little bit and block in some of these shadows and such, and then see what we can make of the mess. All right. So let's mix
that's
up.
pretty much the same approach.
You're what?
I'm doing pretty much the same
Oh, I
thing.
see you. Yeah. You're much faster than I am jumping in. I tend to yammer on. Okay. I'm going to bring. Hold on to your lunch, everybody. I'm going to bring you a little bit closer on my end. Okay. Set my phone there. Okay. Y'all will notice that I started by jotting or kind of drawing in before the live stream started. I drew in some of the um, lines here. So I have a basic kind of because I'm still learning perspective and things. So I have a basic composition in front of me. So I just kind of know where things are. So of course we'll paint over that, but that you may see some marks or lines, and that's what's going on. We want to start the. You'll notice that the sky is pretty dark off to the right hand side. So I'm gonna start with kind of this dark color here off to the right, this dark blue up in this corner, and then move lighter as I go, bringing a little more white into the mix, and then blending backward, never forward, because obviously we don't want that dark coming, or I don't want to say contaminating, but we don't want the dark, we want it to stay kind of where it is. So, all right. This is, I forgot to say at the beginning, but this photo is a, this photo is a one from a site called Unsplash, and it's a free use or an open source kind of Creative Commons site. So um, that is where this photo, I didn't actually take this photo. So what I am going to do, I think, is now put in some of the darker colors, but I think I want to mix a little bit of this um, white, orange, yellow on the left side, so we get the sky filled in. have that bright coming across from the left-hand side. That really draws in with the composition of the person walking down the center, then gives us a nice subject for the eye to draw to. Okay, let's do yellow, some bright yellow. Okay. So we're going to put this bright yellow right in there across, and it's going to blend with kind of the orange and pinks, peaches that you see there, but we want that color just to kind of, don't want to get too far into the blue, because then, of course, if you remember middle school, blue and yellow make green. We don't want a green sky. Oh, Jerron is frozen, somebody says. Oh, let's see. Jerron, are you still there?
I can still hear you.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, let me see.
Looks fine on my end, but I don't know.
Yeah, we can. Okay. Yeah, your video. On Skype, are you able to toggle your video on and off? I wonder if Skype froze up on me.
Let me try it.
Because it looks like. Okay, there you're unfrozen now.
Cool.
Perfect. Yeah, it was just a Skype hangout. Cool. Cool. All right. Now let's do. I'm gonna bring in just on my end, y'all. Gonna bring in just a little bit of a kind of orangey peach color. Start taking that. Bring it around. Ooh, that's too much. Eventually this will be covered with the trees here. Okay. I think I am going to now try to. All right, if we look at the, from my perspective, if we look at the photo, then let's see if we can put in some of those distant hills, give us a horizon to work off of. Okay. This is kind of a muted brown, light brownish, peachy, greeny kind of, I don't know what, we'll put a little pink, a little orange, because there's some reflection off the sky. Okay. Just kind of lay that in there. The next thing we need to do is put in our darks. Once this sky, it's almost dry again because we're using the acrylics will dry really quick. All right. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going to go back to the sky because it is pretty dry. And those colors are beautiful, and that'll be fun. Nope, that's not going to work for me. Got too much of a Barbie pink going on. Don't like that. If y'all remember when we did the sunset a few weeks ago, I had problems with those clouds and had to redo, but we ended up in a place that we liked, that worked. So just want to put some shape in here a little bit. Then it'll be easier to go in and put some. What I did was dilute this. I'm not using any other medium other than water, but I'm just diluting it with very little paint on my brush. And this will give me some shape to put additional highlights or shadows on as I go. So just want to kind of get where I'm happy with the color, the composition, and the basic structure of the painting. Then we can always improve it. Okay, let's see. This goes all the way out here. I appreciate you doing this with me, Jerron. I had never had someone join me, and I sent to several people asking if they would join, and you were the first to say, "Yeah, I'll be happy to." And you were actually probably the one I was most intimidated to reach out to,
Oh,
just because I obviously have seen your work and respect you as an artist, and I was like, "Oh man, I can't measure up." Isn't it funny how we all kind of, no matter what field or discipline it is, we all kind of have our hangups and insecurities?
absolutely. And I'm grateful for you asking me because this is something that I've not done before.
Uh huh.
And I don't know, I don't have the entrepreneurial drive to like really promote my art, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
At least not right now.
Well, it's funny because I
Uh,
started. Do what?
there's this voice by Bob. What, what was that? I froze for a sec.
Do what? Say that again.
I'm getting a little bit of lag, but
Yeah,
uh,
that's it. Yeah, it froze up for a second. Okay, I think we're good
I
now.
think we're back.
Yeah, that's. I wanted to test this. Oh, is it lagging? There we are. Yeah, I wanted to test this to see if it would work. I'm really trying to find ways to make, because I go on for a couple hours and I'll just paint, and then, but I want to find a way to make it obviously more interesting for people watching,
Mm.
because a 2 hour live stream is, I mean, it's great, but I'm having fun. But I'm like, well, maybe the viewers want to watch something going on. So,
Yeah,
hey,
I'm never
Bob,
sure like how entertaining it is to watch people paint.
it's amazing though, because I watch people, like I watch videos of people, and I'll watch like 45-minute long, 2 hour long videos of people painting, or even like time lapses. Of course, I'm interested in learning, but
Yeah,
hey, Bob G, thanks for joining. My friend Bob just popped on and said it looks like we're having fun. He said it's fun to watch us having fun. I was like, well, that's the intent. So excellent.
yeah,
Yeah. Cool, cool.
yeah. I have been kind of in a painting slump for a while, and I've been working on other stuff, doing ink stuff and
Yeah.
planning some comics and whatnot.
Ooh, fun.
Uh, I'm a jack of all trades, so
Yep.
I feel like I'm kind of spread thin sometimes, but
Yeah,
really
was
cool.
I was watching your Inktober efforts, and I was really jealous of. I wish I had those skills. Maybe at some point. That's what the hope is. Keep working, right? A little bit at a time.
Yeah, incremental progress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Putting in the time is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. When I started, this was just mostly just to keep me sane through the last like 6 months. And when I
Sure.
started, I just was like, let me try something that I don't have to be good at. And
Mm.
nobody, I mean, I'm not trying, I'm just like, and my first paintings were horrific when I look back, like, but, you know, it also freed me creatively because, like, compared to other pursuits where creative pursuits, like, because in college I studied music. I took a piano degree,
Mm.
and I still am super intimidated to play the piano. Like I haven't played for a long time. I play very rarely just for myself. But it's funny because that's like something that I'm not comfortable at all. But this, I could just say, yeah, I'm bad because I don't know how to do this, and watch me get better. And then I was like, oh, if I'm gonna be in my room, you know, painting, might as well. I'm an extrovert, so I'm like, oh, I want, you know, have people join and chat and watch, and so
Yeah, painting is an art in general can be really lonely. I don't like uh, being locked up in my room for the last 8 years. It feels like
yeah,
has been like I've had to really work to inspire my creative soul or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
It's so uninspiring to be in the same four walls all day. Um, and yeah, it gets really lonely not having anybody to talk to.
yeah. I think a lot of people are in the same boat. I was on a um, I'm this weekend is the launch of a program here. I live in Little Rock, and we have the Presidential Center, the Clinton Center here, and they have a program for students and teachers. That's a student leadership program. And so this is the kickoff of that. So I was doing that today, and we were talking about connecting and how to connect. And I was on another call or another panel I was facilitating today, and we were talking about how do you connect with people, when you're in a situation like this where it's just there's nothing we can do until this kind of ends.
For sure.
So it's and everybody's kind of in the same boat, stressing out, and so.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all are watching me. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm. Once we get the paint on the canvas, then I always feel a little bit better because I'm like, I can always paint over it if I hate it, and I can start over. Thank God for acrylics. Although at some point I'll probably dive into oil land and do something in oils, but learn some basic technique and basic skill first. At least that's my goal. So Jaron, did you how did you get like into art? Was that just something you naturally were drawn to when you were young? Did you have you always drawn or sculpted or had art kind of in your life, or what? How did you kind of start diving into this world of art?
Well, I kind of just noticed that people kind of responded when I drew stuff. I remember like my earliest memory is being in kindergarten,
Ah.
and it's craft time or whatever, and my mom would draw stuff for me as entertainment.
Mm.
And I remember I would be like 4 years old, and she would be reading me a book, and I
Mm-hmm.
would point to a butterfly and be like, "Hey, can you draw that?" And so she would draw it for me.
Okay.
I used to watch her draw butterflies, which I was fascinated by for some reason. And so in kindergarten, they gave me some crayons, and they just told us to draw. So I made a butterfly, and all of my classmates were super impressed, and I was like loving the attention. So
Sure.
I feel like that was like the earliest memory of me being like, oh, I'm the good at art guy. And
Right. Okay.
so that was like my source of validation or whatever. And, I also used to draw in church. My parents would give me a notepad and a pencil to keep me busy during church because we went to church for 2 hours in the morning, and every other Sunday we'd go for an hour and a half in the evening as well. So we went to a
Oh,
lot of church services.
yeah, yeah. Especially
Uh,
as a kid.
yeah, and I was like always very easily bored, and so I would draw, and I just never quit. Um,
Cool.
and I didn't really start thinking about it as a career until I was a teenager. And even then, it was like kind of not something that my people did.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, not really big into art. Um, so I don't know. It was, yeah.
That's a
The odds are stacked against me. I always, I just loved art, and I wanted to. I loved comics. I loved stories told with art. I loved animation.
mm-hmm.
Um, so I just kind of got hooked, and it sort of became a thing. I still feel like I have no idea who I am as an artist or what my voice should be because
Right.
I've tried so many different things, so many different mediums. Like I worked for the last few years making floats for the Rose Parade, which is something I never predicted I would do. But it taught me a lot about sculpture, and I was like, hey, maybe I should be a sculptor. I love sculpting stuff, and
Yeah.
but it's all cross disciplinary, and that's why I wanted to go to art school to kind of well, first of all, to go to college because that's not something my parents expected me to do.
Right, right.
Um, I've always kind of wanted to like fix that.
Sure.
But yeah, this year has made me really rethink everything.
Yeah, it's been one for the one for the history books for sure. Making all of us kind of reevaluate no matter what our situation is. That's certainly understandable for sure. Everybody's trying to that's one thing like I'm obviously this is just hobby and for fun and like but as I what I found, people will say, "Oh, you're improving so quickly," or you're. And what I'm realizing that I'm able to do, and maybe this comes from kind of like my entrepreneurial perspective, is um, what I'm realizing I'm actually fairly good at is problem solving. In this case, with paints, like I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I know how I try something and I'm like, I wonder if this will work. And I just, I'll keep trying something. And that's what ultimately, at least so far, has really led to improved results is I try something and I don't like it or I do like it and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was how that worked. And then I, go to the next thing. And so when people are like, "Oh, you're improving so much," it's really, from my perspective, it's like I'm really just solving puzzles with a few basic elements. Perspective, composition, perspective, color, medium. There's just a few basic components to these things we're working with, and the
Yeah.
rest kind of works itself out. So,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
go ahead. Sorry.
and I read somewhere or somebody said that once you've learned how to make a painting, then you've already learned everything you can from that kind of painting, and you need to like challenge yourself to move on to the next set of problems or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're good enough to do a kind of painting, that means you're ready to move on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I kind of expect because this has kind of taken over my life like as a hobby. Like I just love it so much. But
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm already seeing, and I was telling people on the live stream a few weeks ago, like I'm dreading the point when I get to the point where I kind of know how to lay in, shadows and light, and where I get a certain level of skill because I enjoy the process of figuring it out, but I also am interested, kind of how you described, going to school. Like I'm interested to try different things. I'm interested to get to a point where I can do, like I want to dive in some to like photorealism a little bit, and kind of play around in that world, and learn and become better. And at some point, I want to explore, some abstract. Um, Doing some abstract work, and I think along the way, to your point of like doing sculpture and different things you've done, and I always see you doing testing and playing with different mediums and different types of drawing and types of expression in the art, and that's something that I'm kind of excited to try. Try different things. I had a colleague. He just passed actually. He was a physicist, and he taught physics and a bunch of different courses at the school where I teach. But he also was an award-winning artist. He was a bronze sculptor, and he cast bronze and developed a certain unique type of or process for doing this. And so he taught some some basic classes on his process. But it was really interesting talking to him because he's an excitable storyteller, very interesting guy, of course. But he saw his art as an exploration of the biology. He focused on nature and he cast animals in their natural environment,
Mm-hmm.
and it was his way of, as a scientist, of exploring the biology of the particular animal. It just happened to be people appreciated the art, and but yeah, it's really interesting process to explore and try different things and see what works and see what doesn't. And
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I really like artists who are always exploring and trying new things and reinventing their art. Um,
Well, it makes it interesting, I think. Like when somebody, especially if you are interested in what they're doing and then, they surprise you with something else. It's like, okay, this is, it takes you to, and it's almost like you follow their journey, their own creative journey. Um, I guess it's the same with musicians or anybody really that's in an artistic endeavor. When they try something new and they take the audience along, that's where people really end up appreciating that the journey that you take them on.
right.
Okay. It's always interesting to me. There's a point in painting a painting where it's just like, ugh, none of this is coming together. It's not working, or it's, certain parts of it aren't working, and it's like, ugh.
The ugly stage.
You do what?
The ugly stage.
Say that again. The what stage?
The ugly stage.
Ugly stage. Yes, yes. That's what it feels like, and I know because pretty much every painting, especially when I started, I had a student who really pushed me. He would come to my live streams and he would say, "Mr. Steve, quit painting tutorials, quit copying other people's work, try, do something original." And once I got out of that very early stage and started trying, you know new things, every painting seems to have that stage where, and it always comes out of that stage, but I think I'm starting to get to that point where kind of the things I know to do are done, and then it's like, okay, now I gotta like figure out how I'm gonna get past this. But that's kind of the fun of it too, I guess.
Yeah, that it's funny. Even as much art as I've done, I still always come to that point at some point where I'm like, wow, this is just trash. And there have been works of art that I got halfway done with, and I just about scrapped them completely. But then I kept going, and they turned out really, really great. And
Yeah.
just, I don't know how it still gets me every time.
Yeah, it's funny because there's a few artists that I'll watch religiously on YouTube because my goal, I mean, kind of my premise with this was I want to keep it for now a hobby, like just learning, and I want to see if I can learn as much as possible just on YouTube, and because there's so much content out there, obviously you can Google
Yeah,
or search for almost everything you need to figure out, and but it's funny. There's some people I'll watch time lapses of a photo, and you'll see like whole sections of the painting go back and forth, and they will, and you'll see a whole mountain disappear and then reappear, and you'll see them move things around, and it kind of reminds me nothing is set until it's set, and you're done, and that's it. So
yeah.
Lola, who's watching, says, if you remember, I'm a pastel artist. I've started my painting with acrylic on Wednesday. Cool, Lola. I knew you said you wanted to try that. I'm excited. You'll have to let me know how that goes. I, of course, am following you on Instagram, but I'll be excited to see and I'll be interested to see how your experience is. transferring between, you know, acrylic the and the pastel as well. That's exciting.
I do like me some pastels. I prefer oil pastels, but I've done both.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think acrylic and pastel, the same sensibilities do transfer from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
So good choice.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely a that's the other thing. It's going to be, I mean, you can never run out of knowledge to. Oop, I think we froze up on Skype again. Are you still there, Jerron? Oh, I think we lost Jerron, y'all. You love the soft pastels. Cool. Hopefully, Jerron will rejoin us in just a second. Let me, in the meantime, whoops, yep, I lost. Y'all can see I lost the. All right, well, I'm going to switch here until Jerron comes back. Let me just send him a message. You may hear him calling in just a minute, but that way y'all can kind of see what I'm doing. Oh, cool. I'm glad you're finding it easy. I'll be interested to see everything you create. Okay, everybody, you've been watching what I'm doing. Obviously, I don't like this. This has got to go. Bye bye. Um, I'm trying to put in some definition in these shadows, these shady places, the dark places. Eventually, I have to get to the snow. So yeah, I'm kind of floundering a little bit here, but I'm as we were talking about, I'm sure we will get there. Um, we will get there. I'll keep working, and hopefully Jaron will join us. If not, I'll have him post, and I'll cross post to Instagram his version of this. It's kind of fun having, though, kind of fun what I was testing, this idea of having guests. It doesn't always go smoothly, but it is kind of a fun process, I think. So I may do that more often. Have guests join me. Okay. I am not happy with these mountains in the back either. Ugh. I just wish. Well, I always say I wish I knew more, and then I don't at the same time because that's half the fun is the learning of it. I'm putting in some spots here that I didn't like. Okay, I think I'm going to lay in the snow now. The snow, I'm going to use some white and probably some, a little bit of black so it's almost a gray, white. The blue, maybe. Okay. We'll go in here and put this in. We want to reserve the true white for the highlights, the biggest highlights. But I want to get the canvas covered because that just makes me feel better. If I know the canvas has the base colors, then I know that I can build from there. So we have kind of. Let's go. I'll put some. There's you. Hey there.
Stream?
No, we're still streaming my but your video is off. There we go. Now I have you back. Perfect. Nope, it just Skype dropped us.
Bummer.
That's fine. I was just telling everybody this is we're just testing it out, but I said hopefully you would be able to get back in, but yeah, we're good to go.
All right, cool.
Keep it on. I just flipped the view that they see. I think you're seeing my MacBook view, so you're not able to. You're not seeing what I wonder if in Skype if I can change the feed of my video. Let me see. So, oh yeah, I might be able to. Oh yeah, there you go. So you should now, on your side, think be able to. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So you can see what they are seeing.
Oh, gotcha. Nice.
Um, yeah, and then my software has a side by side with the reference photo as an overlay in the center.
Oh, gotcha. Looking good.
I told them I am frustrated with some of these things, but I was like, I'm just gonna lay in the snow so that the canvas is covered. I want cover.
Yeah.
So I'm doing kind of a grayish blue base and then build on that or paint over it if I don't like it. But that gives me a chance to fix some of this. I laid in some of the trees and stuff that I don't like or didn't like where they were sitting, but oh well. Yeah, that's the thing I have come to appreciate. When I started doing this, everybody's, all the painters I follow, a lot of them are oil painters because I'm following them more for watching technique and watching how they build a picture and whatever.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh, acrylics dry so fast and they don't blend as easy or as smoothly and da da da. And but because that's what I started with, I've kind of, I recognize how quick you have to work, but I figure I can always learn the specifics of oils and how oils behave later once I have the technique. But it's I like oils, because they're dry, and it's like as soon as I look up enough to hate something, I can change it because it's dry already. I don't have to wait a week or mix
Yeah, I don't
something.
know. Acrylic, there's just some different techniques you can do. Like some people use a lot of layers and
Yep.
just.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've only taken one painting class in my life,
Oh yeah.
and it was just kind of it ended up kind of being like a free for all, where we just kind of like were assigned things and had to figure them out on our own.
Oh, interesting.
So I feel like I don't really know how to paint.
Yeah. No, I feel you there. I'm like, yeah. That's what the part I like is it's like this problem solving. It's like, okay, yeah, that didn't work, or oh, you know, it just, yeah, it's the first thing that was challenging for me out the gate when I first started, like back in July, June, July, I think is kind of when I really started, was just figuring out how to blend colors because I hadn't really studied any color theory at all, and like watching very primitive, basic videos on, okay, the color wheel and like really getting, and then how does that work in actual practice when you're mixing colors, and how do you duplicate a color you see, and can you duplicate it? That's something I'm obviously still working on and consistently, but it's funny how quick you can improve, um, just with practice and doing it.
Yeah.
The other thing is learning. It's taking me a bit, and I'm still developing the skill, but being able to look at three-dimensional objects and kind of switch your brain to perceive them in on a two-dimensional plane, and the different techniques for then rendering those
Yeah.
two
I mean,
dimensions but making them look three-dimensional, which is, I mean, that's the fun part for me, is like, oh, this is really the fun part, because I'm taking something, looking at, okay, the other couple weeks ago, that student I mentioned, he had sent me a picture. He's like, paint this. It was a picture that he had taken at his house, and they have like a pond out in front of their house. It's out in the country, and he there was kind of, it was early morning, so there was kind of this foggy, misty, beautiful kind of mist over the trees. But then when I was trying to like actually put that on canvas, I was like, how do I do that? Like, and so I was testing a bunch of different things, but it's just those, I think it's those things, figuring out like how to do it. There's no, I mean, there's no real guidebook that says this is the way to do it. I mean, I'm sure there are, of course, but
yeah.
like when you're just doing it, it's like now I'm painting these kind of the base for these ruts in the road, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's figure it out. I'm figuring out that I don't like this, the angle I have this at. It needs to come more this way. There we go. That makes me more happy. Yay. Whenever I'm talking to the camera or talking to myself like this, it's so funny because I get a very, very Bob Rossi feel. You know, it's this feel of like planting my little happy trees somewhere.
Yeah. I've been thinking that there's kind of a void where Bob Ross, that left by Bob Ross, that needs filled.
Yeah, at
Um,
least on public TV for sure. That's funny. There's a guy I follow. I think his name is Kevin Hill. He's a painter on YouTube and has been doing YouTube for years. He has, 5, 6, 7 years, so he's built up quite a following. But he has a very Bob Ross kind of feel, like not in the way he paints, but the way he's very soft spoken, and his voice is very smooth, and he just, and so he reminds me of how Bob Ross, yeah, approached the artwork.
mm,
But yeah, definitely he was a pioneer for sure. Like, to recognize TV as the medium. And once he was, I mean, I don't know of anybody else really in popular culture that has actually, like, not competed with him, but, like, actually, I don't know of any other artist or painter that's done anything similar to what he did, for decades.
yeah.
Kind of like Mr. Rogers did similar thing for children's, um, programming.
Right.
So, did you say you were doing some comic books?
No, not. I'm well. I've done a few comics just on Instagram,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah, yeah.
for a long time I've wanted to do some more. Um, just like autobiographical sort of comics. Just
Oh, gotcha.
like the first half of my life is sort of fading from my memory, and it's sometimes it feels like a weird dream because it was so different from my life now.
Sure, sure.
I kind of just want to get some of my memories down on paper and share my story a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there's other people that can relate.
Yes. I think
Um,
that's really cool.
it's kind of like pulling teeth for me though. It's sort of hard for me to want to go back there and revisit everything.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's funny because oh, Lola said she loved watching Bob. I think everybody loved Bob, didn't they, Lola? Everybody loved Bob. He was universally lovable and talented, um, talented broadcaster for sure. Yeah, that's I feel where you're coming from, Jaron. My a few weeks ago, I went down to Florida where I did my undergrad. My undergrad was at a small Christian school down there, and I stopped in, um, but very, uh, very, I guess not strict isn't the word, but like just very a very controlled environment. And so, yeah, going back to those places is going back to those places. I certainly understand that. It was so surreal to be back there when life is so different.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, Natasha, thanks for joining. She's loving this painting and the session. Natasha, I am thinking of you and your family. I hope things are will turn out improved. We missed you at the meeting today. Amy will or Amber will send you the notes on the meeting, I believe, and everything. But I know you had more pressing matters to attend. But I'm so grateful you popped in. Natasha, we actually had Becca join, so thanks for inviting her to the meeting. She was able to provide some real great perspective from a recent graduate, so that was really helpful and excited. I She was one of my favorites. Don't tell any of the other students, but It was so nice to have her and to reconnect with her. So um, for everybody else, Natasha and I have been working on a committee the last several months at the school where I teach. Natasha is a graduate of the school, and we've been working on an alumni engagement committee, and so that's what all those references were to. It's funny because as if I keep doing these live streams, I have people now, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 people um, that are popping in, and I know most everybody, but I imagine there will be a time when there will be too many people to kind of know who's all on and have have these kind of personal asides with everybody. But that'll be fun too because then those of us that are the first, that we're at the beginning, will kind of have this shared experience that people who come after the fact won't have necessarily. But it's not a bad thing. Just anyway, I'm rambling now. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not a good plan, Steven. Yeah, yours. Yeah. Okay. Focus, focus.
Good composition. Looks like you're getting the layout all done.
What's that?
Looks like you're getting the layout pretty nice.
Yeah, the layout. Now it's just now. How do I go back and fix all the kind of the mess?
Yeah, I can kind of paint myself into a corner sometimes where like I don't know how to fix things without starting over.
Right.
But it's really nice to do a painting like this where technically the outcome is not going to be graded or anything.
Yeah. It doesn't. It absolutely doesn't matter at all. Yeah. No, that's well, and that's the reason I think I started, just because I was like, you know what? I just want to do well. At the time, I needed to like keep my sanity. I was like, I need something just for mental well-being, because we'd all been kind of closed in, and I haven't really. I know a lot of people have kind of gone back out in the world a little bit to hang with friends and do things, but I just, especially now that school's in session, I just am not willing to do that and put my students, because we do, or we have up till now, we have done in person class, we have in person classes, and I'm not willing to put my students at risk.
Right.
And so, yeah, I needed something just to kind of keep my sanity. And so, painting, I had some old acrylics back in my back room, and I just pulled them out, and it was really bad because I only had a few colors. But then I went to my local Michaels and was like, oh, let me see what I can do, and improve little by little. But yeah, that's what I learned. Yeah, here I was just like, I don't like the sky, I'm changing it. But it's amazing. Like, I guess it's a metaphor for life. Like, it truly, I mean, it takes me longer to do things than it will even in 2 weeks, but I'm so much better than when I started, that it's dramatic, and it's only been a few months, that it's just like, oh, well, yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah, just like a consistent practice is the most powerful tool you can have as an artist.
Yeah. That's really interesting, because that you use that exact, the practice, obviously practice as in repetitive effort, but there's a guy named Seth Godin who's um, like a business writer that I followed for years, and he just wrote a book called The Practice. Um, and his kind of point is that whatever our thing is that we do for work, or specifically creatives who work as writers or painters or whatever it is, um, he said there's no such thing, in his case, there's no such thing as writer's block. There's just fear of bad writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said basically his premise is make it a practice. Like, he said 70%, he's written like 10,000 blog posts, and he said 70% of what I've written is mediocre at best. But he said I never know what, every day when I wake up, if what I create that day is worthwhile. But I get up and create it anyway. He's like, I write because that's what I do. I'm a writer. And I thought that was really um, insightful, and like it's true, because we tend to get, at least me as a creative, I tend to get in my head about things, and you don't want to, I don't want, that's why for me this type of setting is helpful, because it's like, I put out, people can see exactly what I'm doing. They see when I make a big mistake and have to do something else, and it's, I think it's valuable, I have found, for me in the creative process, because it forces me to kind of let go of some things and create anyway, and figure out as I go, figure out how to fix it or how to make it better if I don't like it. And then there comes a place, at least I've learned, that's a really valuable for me along the way. I get to a place on a painting where, or a live stream, where I say, this is this is with the skill that I have currently and the ability I have currently, this is it. This is good. Obviously, I can look at it and see there are things to be improved, but I don't yet have the skill or the time or the energy or the whatever, and kind of making it okay for myself to say, you know what, that's good enough. Um, and I take it in my, it's kind of symbolic. I take it in my living room, put it up on my mantle. There's a whole pile of canvases up there now, so I'm gonna have to start painting over some things. But it's that has helped me kind of keep from getting too deep into perfectionism, which I'm
Yeah,
kind of,
perfectionism is a huge enemy of mine. I'm so bad at it. Like,
I don't know how, like, if this were my thing, like, if I had a certain level of, you know, built in natural ability, I think I have some, but not like, like if I had any virtuosity at all in this, like, I think it would be like with piano, like, it would be very hard to disconnect that. But because I'm just like, I still don't really see myself that good. Like, um, this painting, Natasha said, this painting reminds her of the trips out to the cabin when she lived in Alaska. Natasha, where did you live in Alaska? Because my brother used to live outside Anchorage, and I can totally see that. This seems like probably a spring or fall paint, image of Alaska. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Where did you? Where were you in Alaska?
I would love a vacation to Alaska right now.
I I went there a few Christmases ago, which you would think, oh, December in Alaska. It was cold, and I came from, I flew straight from Little Rock and went, I think it was Seattle and then or Denver and then Anchorage, but so it was quite jarring. But it wasn't as bad as I thought, and it's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful. Like, it's just more than you imagine beautiful. So
Yeah,
it
I,
was,
I miss snow. Don't get that here.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, California. You have the heat, but yeah, it's
I do appreciate the weather here, but I don't know. I wish there was like a. I, don't know, I guess I could always drive out to the mountains and see snow there.
right.
There's something about getting snowed in at home
Yes,
when you don't have anything to do.
yeah.
Just
That's
love.
yeah. My parents moved up to the mountains, and they live in the in the hills and have. My mom said, she's like, oh, we weren't expected to get snow, but we have about 5 inches so far, and it keeps coming down, and so they have that going on there, and it's the same. Like, I love it as long as I don't have to go out in it, right?
Right.
So, ugh, messed up. Oh, Anchorage and Kodiak is where. Yeah. So my brother lived in a town called Chugiak, which is on the highway out of Anchorage, about 30 minutes toward Wasilla. But yeah, Alaska was interesting. It was interesting. I enjoyed my few days there during Christmas. I sat by the fireplace almost the whole time, except for when we had to go out.
Yeah.
Stayed right by that fireplace.
That
Okay. I feel like I'm just kind of spinning my wheels on this. Okay.
what are you working on?
I don't like I'm not happy with the sky. I'm not happy with uh, I'm
Hmm.
trying to look at what I'm happy with and what I need, but it's like it feels like everything needs work. Um, I
Hmm.
I don't know. Let me
Thinking about throwing in some more pink clouds, maybe.
do what?
Thinking about some more pink clouds.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to work on, but I'm getting kind. It's almost getting muddy, so I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to.
Let it dry a little.
Yeah, make sure it's a little tacky. I think I'm gonna run real quick. I'm gonna um, grab a. I'm gonna actually clean water and
Cool.
grab my earbuds because for some reason my computer sound after it's been running a bit goes murky,
Hmm.
and I'm gonna grab that. I'll be right back, y'all.
I wish I could interact with all the live streamers. I can't see anybody's comments, but if anybody's watching, I will give you like a slightly better view of my painting. Sure. Coming together all right. I like how it's going.
All right, y'all. I'm back. I'm back. I'm going to try AirPods first, see if I can hook them. Hey, Nina. Thanks for popping in. So good to see you. Whoops. I got to grab. Congrats again on your achievement. I'm proud of you. I don't know how to say congrats in German, otherwise I would. Okay, let me see if I can change my AirPods for audio. Okay, I think that works. Here, yeah, I think this should help me to hear you better. I don't know why my MacBook does that. Okay, now I need to figure out how to fix this mess. Okay. I think the pink I'm mixing is so bright. I just gotta really desaturate it because it's like a bubblegum Barbie pink.
Yeah.
I almost would have rather mixed it, but when I first started. I didn't, of course, know what I was doing. Um, but I went and bought a set of like 12 or 24 um, what am I trying to say? 12 or 24 colors, paint, small little tubes of paint. And because I didn't know what colors I would need or what. And then I realized, once I started studying a little on color, I was like, oh, I don't really need all these colors. Like, I can create pretty much what I need if I need it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
I
now,
like having a lot of colors because mixing can take a lot of time.
yeah, and that's the thing with acrylics too, because they're so fast drying. Sometimes it helps, but I have all of these colors that once I use them up, I won't probably buy them again. But since I have them, I'll use them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's see if we can make ourselves more happy with this sky. I don't know that I will, but little by little. And the more you do it, the better. I did my first kind of multicolored sky, blended sky, a couple weeks ago, and it actually turned out. I mean, it took me a few tries over a couple of live streams, but I got I got it where it was acceptable, and it actually turned out really nice. It's one of the better, probably ones that I've done as far as better paintings. But it's just that it's kind of learning, figuring out your technique, your own technique, and um, This isn't.
Oh, that looks loads better already.
Yeah, little by little, it's blending a little better. Um, I think I brought the darker blue too far in, and so now I have kind of a. It is looking a little green under here. I'm gonna have to put a few layers, I think, on here to. Although the reference photo, not it's. I mean, there's kind of a grayish hint underneath those wispy clouds anyway. So
Yeah.
I should probably also stand up and step back a bit because I'm right up on it with my nose on this canvas, and it's probably not as bad as it looks up close.
That's always a good plan.
Yeah,
Taking a step.
yeah, yep,
That helps.
for sure. It's like every time I step back, I'm like, oh, I'm not as bad a painter as I thought. The other thing I've had to learn is the like recognizing that reference photos are a reference photo, and it's okay to deviate. It was helpful to have to try to mimic exactly what I see as I'm learning, but also as I gain skill to say, oh, like in this case, I don't want those houses back there. I'm just going to make the hill. I'm going to put trees across and like
Yes,
kind
I'm
of.
here at the houses. And I messed up the composition a little. I wanted to make the road a little bit less straight.
Oh, huh. Oh,
Uh,
so it would kind of lead the eye into the.
well, I don't know. Yeah, I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
I wanted to break it up a little bit and see what that looked like.
Yeah, I kind of like that though. You don't like it?
No, it's fine. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
I'm
kind of
stuck
like.
with curvy
I'm
road.
Yeah, I'm kind of there for that. I'm there for that. Yeah, I actually really like that. Now I'm like, damn, I should have done that. Yeah. Oh, I imagine Natasha. Natasha said, "I miss those vibrant colors against the beautiful white snow and the neon green of the northern lights."
I My dream is to see the northern lights from a hot tub in Iceland.
Oh, there you go. Do it. Do it.
Travel
Yes.
goals. Still talk about travel right now.
Yeah. Once we can safely, right?
That's all. Right.
There's a yeah, I think traveling is so beneficial, of course, and everybody wants to do it. But I realize, like, and this is just kind of a thing as I age, which is, I hate saying as I age, but it's just true. When you work around 15 and 16-year-olds all day, you realize how old you really are, no matter how old you are. It's just like, even if I'm not, I'm old to these kids, and I mean, literally now it's to the point now. I mean, when I started teaching, it was just barely. I started 4 years ago, but now it really is like every kid on that campus could actually be my child. Like, and I'm like, that's kind of disconcerting, and like, because I don't feel like I'm. Well, I know I'm old enough to be a father, but like, I don't feel like I have the. Oof, it's probably good I'm not. But
I
but
mean,
yeah,
it's a hard role to be a father in right now.
do what?
It's a hard time to be a father. I feel like.
Yeah, and yeah, any parent, like, oof, it's a, yeah, that's a big thing. I but from the standpoint of travel, I think that traveling is one of those things I want to. I decided a few years ago I want to spend my money, any that I accumulate, or like as I accumulate money, I want to spend money making memories with the people I love, and and focusing on a component of that, I think will be travel, just because um, it's so valuable. Like just shared experience and shared creating shared history and shared memories. Those are, those things don't pile up in back rooms, never to be seen again. And
Yeah.
you can always pull out videos and photos and have those memories. Um, and I'm more mindful. When the quarantine started, we went like hiking out along the out. Yeah, I live in a beautiful part of the country. Arkansas is really beautiful, and so we would go hiking by different waterfalls. And one time I was hiking down to some waterfalls, and I realized, at some point I won't be able to or won't want to do this. And so, kind of building those memories. I'm storing up data for when I'm a little old crotchety man in a nursing home somewhere. I can say, back in my day, and
Yeah.
and I'll have those memories to be like, oh yeah, once my knees used to work and I could hike down to waterfalls and yeah. Okay, I'm gotta take our W's where we get them. I kind of am appreciating this a little more. My trees are making me happy right now.
Yeah, you got a nice sunset glow. It's a really good
Yeah,
gradient.
that's hard. I think with and then I think the structure of my clouds over here, I just can put some shadow and highlight toward the end probably.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm liking what's happening here, and kind of framing these trees, this skyline a little bit is working. It's working for me. Okay, and there's this bunch right in here. What size of canvas are you working on? Do you
Uh,
approximately?
I think it's like a 1 foot by a foot and a half, maybe
Okay,
something
yeah,
like that.
that's nice. Yeah, when I haven't really done, which is probably more challenging. Probably when I get to larger um, canvases, I'll be like, oh my goodness, what was I doing? Because I started with what I had, and then I just bought more of the same. So I've only painted on little, like 5x7 boards, or I think this is 8x10. They're super tiny, so you have to transfer kind of the composition and squeeze it, make it work or make sense. But yeah, I have a feeling that I'll be when I start painting on some larger canvases, I'll be like, oh, I have so much room to do so many cool things. I don't know. That's my
Yeah,
gut.
I did a 6 foot by 4 foot painting this year.
Was that the one for your birthday you said?
No, this was a commission,
Oh, okay, okay.
and it was it. Painting larger is easier in some ways, but it takes a lot longer.
Oh, sure, I imagine.
Um,
You
and
said
I
it
was,
was 4 by 6 foot?
yeah,
Wow. Whoa. How long did that take you, do you think, in total, approximately? Do you have any idea?
it's kind of hard to estimate how much time I actually spent on it because I wasn't like consistently working on
Right,
it.
right.
But I don't know. I mean, it felt like it. In reality, it took like a couple months, I think. But that's because
Right.
I wasn't on it every day and wasn't working very efficiently. I was figuring stuff out. I had to paint the sky a couple times,
Sure.
but yeah, no, it took a lot of time and effort and just getting everything covered
Yep,
and
yep.
but it's so fun because you can take a few steps back and it looks mind blowing.
Yeah, exactly. That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, someday I would love to have studio space, just an old warehouse or something that has big sunlit windows that, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
We shall see. Okay, I'm not hating this as much as I was. Not hating it as much as I was.
Have you ever done a figure drawing class?
No, I have done no classes at all. So,
Or like even okay, yeah, I do recommend trying a figure drawing something or other,
yeah,
um, because having strict time limits, it really frees you from perfectionism in a whole new way. And
I bet.
it's amazing what your body will just end up doing, and you when you're working really quickly, and your instincts kind of kick in.
Right.
And I had a good teacher who was like always telling us to be aware of our body and how we're holding it while we're making art.
Yep.
Like you get all tense, and that
Yeah.
carries into your painting, and because you're literally using your body to make it, and like the hand that's not painting could be holding so much tension, and you're maybe holding it really stiffly, and that affects how you're painting. And just taking a breath, taking a step back, just keeping loose.
Yeah, that's really interesting because and I felt that like when I started painting, I like actually hurt myself cuz I was standing for hours at a time and I love it so much that I can get lost in it
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and like this, like you know, an hour and a half are gone, you know, has gone like, and it just feels like nothing. And obviously, because there's people here and chatting and whatever, but I absolutely understand that, and that's something I really want to do. I do want to do more studies, at least studies of you know figures and learn to draw better. I want to do some you know learning some drawing technique, but yeah, that will be interesting. I should even if it's not, I should do that more because I know like when I do things like this, I know oh if I don't finish, I'll you know finish up another time or I'll finish when I on the next live stream where I should periodically set where it's just like whatever gets done at the end, that's where it ends. So I have to get it done because that would be an interesting guideline to see how my process would change or how it would be impacted.
For sure.
That's really I had the same kind of experience with when I was learning in college when I started taking because I took piano as a kid, you know, all through high school, but I didn't. My teacher didn't make me um, use proper technique, and he kind of let me study whatever I wanted, which was great as a kid, but not great as a you know. Then once I got to college, and I had this really great piano teacher, and she literally the first time I went into her studio, she literally like smacked my arms off the keys because I was so tense. She's like, "Look, your arms aren't even moving." And she's like, "They should if I hit you anytime you're playing, they should just fly up in the air. They should be so relaxed." And she taught me how to how to play more relaxed which I didn't think was possible, you know, like to play from a relaxed place, but it is that conscious thing that's I notice with any sort of fine motor skill, but it's the same. I noticed when I was painting, it's like, oh, you know, I'm cramping up my hand, and it at that point it was causing pain in my hands because I was so tense.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, I really can really see how that would affect the outcome.
I feel like I tense up a lot more when I'm trying to draw digitally, and maybe it's because of my digital setup, which I just draw on the iPad right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I mean, it's great. That the Apple Pencil is awesome. Um, the software has really come a long way.
Has it? I've never tried it or used it or yeah.
Yeah, I've always kind of hated digital art, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not that great at it. I feel like I just can't get the same feeling as I can on paper with physical materials. I don't feel like I have as much control.
Right, right.
And also with digital, you can endlessly perfect everything, and that's never a good headspace for me to be in.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, oop, I just really messed that up with my finger. No, I, yeah, that would be tough for me. I think it's not gonna work. I learned what doesn't work, kind of like Thomas Edison. Try that. Isn't gonna work. Ooh, and pink right on the end. This is what happens when you get a murky palette. Too
mhm.
much, too many paints moving at once. Nope, can't have the green and the pink in the same place. What has been your favorite class of the classes you've taken, or your favorite medium, or like your favorite activity? What's kind of been,
Hmm.
or is there a favorite? Does it just depend on?
A lot out of my figure drawing class that I took
Yeah.
last year. Last year at the time, I was in my first figure drawing class, and it was so fun.
Uh huh.
Um, and I made a lot of good work. Oh, you can actually see one of my favorite drawings from that class behind me.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah.
this here.
Yes, I saw that. I think you posted on Instagram too, or Facebook maybe.
Yeah, I did. But yeah,
Wow. Yeah.
it was like I think that was a 2 hour session, maybe, or maybe it was a 4 hour. I don't remember. It was one of the longer ones, and we started with gray paper, so we got to experiment with midtones a little and use white
Sure.
and black charcoal.
Okay.
And it just turned out really great, and I liked it.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing though was like putting in headphones and doing like a series of 10-minute poses. And you have no time to get attached to your work. You have no time to care about perfectionism at all. You just 10 minutes, do as much as you possibly can. You're never going to get done, so don't even try.
Yeah.
And some of my favorite pieces came out of that. And
Fascinating. Yeah, that's cool.
it really puts you in the moment in a way that I do not meditate, even though I wish I could.
Yeah.
But I don't know, figure drawing can be a very meditative experience for me.
Sure. Well, it kind of puts you, especially like that, where you know you're not going to get done. It just you kind of go into a zone. I imagine that you just have to keep going.
Right. And you're like fully present.
Mm-hmm.
You can't really help but be present.
Yeah, that's cool. I am reconfiguring my hilltops, and I kind of like it better. And I'm liking the values of the color a lot better. I'm straying a little bit.
Yeah, my mountains look a little, I don't know, a little flat. But
Can't, let me see if I can see your mount. Oh no, you're so trying to. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I love your person though. That's cool.
I haven't found like my sweet spot between realism and stylized expressionism.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I am pushing myself more and more because for me the stylized, it's easier for me, because I'm just like, oh, it looks like a tree in a mountain, or gives the illusion of a tree in a mountain. But I'm trying to force myself first to go as realistic as I can get, just from the standpoint of building skill.
Yeah.
Because then I know, like, if I understand how values, and perspective and all these things play together, then it's always easier to, or I would think it will be easier to go and you know do something different. But
Yeah, they always tell you to learn the rules before you break them, but I
yeah,
want to skip that step.
yeah, you and everybody else. But even Picasso, I guess, had to start with the rules, right?
Yeah.
Theoretically. There's a local artist here in Little Rock who was a former um, football player and then went and got an MFA. Um, and he actually does impressionist painting, styled painting, but he uses the same basic palette that, like, say, Van Gogh used, and
Hmm.
that's kind of his thing. But he is really interesting, just nice guy. We have like a local art night typically before COVID, obviously. um,
Yeah.
but he after football he started a new career and does that kind of work. But it was really interesting when he described kind of his philosophy, and like that's kind of his what he set for himself is like using these fairly limited palette to create this style of painting.
Yeah, I do love the limited stuff. Limiting yourself often sets you free as an artist because
Yeah,
some of my favorite pieces of art that I've done were on post-it notes with ballpoint pen.
right.
And there's like you got 2 inches by 2 inches, and
That's
there's
it.
only so much you can do. There's only so many choices you can make,
Yep.
and how much detail you can cram in there. And there's something satisfying about getting the most out of that.
Yeah.
'Cause, like the more freedom you have, the more you have this feeling that if only you were better, you could take better advantage of all of the
Yes.
tools that you have.
Yep. That's what I feel like. Like, I think even in this painting, I felt it at different times. Is like, it's like, oh, there's so many options and all this, and I can see all the things that need to be fixed or worked on. And then it's like, no, I need to like focus, and decide, okay, I'm just gonna look on cloud, work on clouds, or just focus on trees or whatever. Kind of break it down. It's interesting. It's strange that there's so much overlap with the. I was mentioning that business writer earlier. I saw an interview where he was talking about, because he was talking about basically creative workers and how they can be successful. Um, and that's one of the things he said. He's from Canada originally, and he said, I grew up playing hockey. And he said, hockey on a frozen lake is completely different than hockey in the rink. Because in the rink, you have the boards, and that's the definition of the game is the boards. And everything you can do is constrained by the boards. Where on the lake, you have the edge of the lake, but, you know, it's not going to bounce. If you hit the puck a certain way, it's not going to bounce the same way at the side of the lake that it will against the boards, and it's not going to go around the rink like it would on a rink. And I think that exactly what you were saying about in painting, it's the same way. If we set, or any artistic endeavor, if you set certain kind of, this is where my limitation, or not limitations, but these are the constraints. It forces you to depend more on your creativity
Yeah.
than all the other things. Lola, thanks so much for joining us. Have a great evening. I know it's an hour ahead where you are, so have a great evening and a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate you. Keep me posted on your adventures with acrylics. Okay. I think I'm losing my AirPods. Yeah. Oops. Switch to different earphones. Make that easier. My AirPods decided to just conk out, apparently.
I feel like they have a pretty short battery life.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I don't use, I mean, I have a MacBook, but I don't have an iPhone. But I don't, the AirPods are fine, but most of the time I'm wired in, especially for Zoom or something. But this is just easier.
Yeah, for sure.
It's actually more clear too, because it's funny with when I was on the AirPods, I was getting all kinds of background feedback, but then I put these in, and it's like super clear. Ugh, I'm just this is it's actually working. It's just not as real or perfect as I would like. That's okay. Because at the end of the day, we will come to a place and say, for the skill that I have currently and the time I have allotted, this is what I can do. And we will be okay with that. Can you tell
Yeah,
I'm like
I
pep
feel
talking myself?
one of my biggest struggles is letting go of my expectation of what I want my art to look like. Because
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
you're always going to have a better idea in your head. And I don't know if I've ever made a piece of art that looked exactly like I wanted it to.
Right. Right. No, I totally get that.
It does give me anxiety though when I know that I'm falling short and I'm just like, why can't I capture this the way I want it to? But
Yeah.
sometimes you get the opposite. Sometimes you accidentally surprise yourself and something turns out way better than it had any right to.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have a feeling like everything I've done in these last 3 months or 4 months has like been better than I had a right to just because
Hmm.
I don't know, not really. But it's funny because I think, like, isn't it strange how kind of artistic endeavors, we kind of in our heads create this thing around art, at least I do, where it's just like, oh, art is a, I mean, I mentioned like even like reaching out to you, I was just like, oh, but Jerron's a real artist. Like, that's what, that's what I say in my head. And it's like, well, what does that even mean? Like, yes, you started as a child and have more experience, but like, and you've had some training in different areas. And I didn't even know when you said, oh, I've never, or I've taken one painting class or whatever. It was like, oh, my own insecurity or whatever could have gotten in the way of a really fun experiment.
Mm.
But yeah, I I agree that like our what you have, it's hard for me to, even though I'm just learning, like when I know I can do something or I've done it better in the past, it's hard to be like, oh, well, it just wasn't today. Today wasn't the day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we are down to 2 minutes, and I am going to see. Let's see. Okay. Let me hold. I'm gonna hold my. Whoops! I have to. This is what I got
Mm.
as far as need some finishing in the sky and the ground, but for how much I could do. Oh, pretty. Yeah, you got a lot of like. I love the shadows and the color you were able to get on the snow in the kind of mid ground.
Mm.
That looks really nice.
Thank you. And I think my favorite part is the little tiny red tree lights,
Yes.
a little bit of glow from the
Yeah.
sunset.
Yeah, that's pretty. How did you just use different like a different color? Was that how you created that illusion?
Well, I noticed that I had like some leftover unmixed like reddish orange on my palette, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Hey, what can I use this for?" And I just kind of stuck it in there, and it turned out looking great. So,
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I love that cuz that, I mean, it's there in the picture. That's cool. I wonder if this, I'm going to try something. No, I don't, the red orange I don't have. I was going to, if it was still wet, I was going to see, but that's cool. I don't know. I may still work on this at some point, but that was fun.
yeah, I like how this turned out. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for hunting down this picture. I'm going to put the link to, or I think I already put it. I think his name is Francesco. It was an Italian name who took this picture. But I'll put the link to the original reference in the YouTube video so people can see if they want to find his work. But awesome. This was fun. I hope to. I am gonna change my. Let me change my. I'm gonna change my thing and talk to the people. So, y'all, this has been fun. I think that I'm gonna see if we can do this more often. If you liked having guest artists paint with me, let me know in the comments on this video. And if you have ideas, I want to continue to work on these live streams and have make them more educational, more interesting, and more entertaining for y'all outside of me probably juggling or something or singing. But I appreciate all of you that have joined us tonight. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you hanging out, those of you that were here the whole time. Bob said, looking great. That's without a glass of wine along the way, at least in sight. Yeah, I didn't bring out a glass of wine. There's no wine in sight. There was some water that I'm always afraid I'm going to put my brushes into my drinking water. But I got so wrapped up in the process, I didn't even get the drinking water going. So, but yeah. Anyway, thanks, y'all. If you don't follow on YouTube, please, you can go, actually, I created a bit.ly link for YouTube. You can go to bit.ly, bit.ly/YT for YouTube, Paint Party, YT Paint Party. That will link directly to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe and follow there so you can catch these. Most of you are also on my personal Facebook. It cross posts there, so you'll catch it there. But YouTube will be the public place going forward. It also cross posts to Twitter. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, at Stephen E. Rice, at Stephen E. Rice is where you can find me. And that is where I post during the week. Whenever I have time in the evenings, I'll just go live quickly and set up my phone and do Instagram live. So that's the place to find those impromptu live streams. But typically, Saturday, Sunday nights, occasionally, but typically Saturday nights, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time is where we are for the weekly live stream. Again, thanks so much for joining me, and have a great evening, everybody. All right, let me...